Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Whatever. We're live, baby. What is up, guys? It's Alex Johnson here, the founder and lead analyst at yardsperfantasy.com. Welcome into the 133rd episode of the Feed Me Fantasy podcast. Let's eat. I know what you're thinking. Today's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday. But here we are, doing it live on a Tuesday. We've missed the last two Wednesdays because work and then the Thanksgiving holiday, all that shit got in the way. And I got another Wednesday tomorrow that is just, my schedule is just not going to allow for a show. It's really pissing me off. But this should be the last time this happens. But I could not go another week without doing a show. I mean, we've still done the Saturday night shows and the Sunday morning shows, but this Wednesday show, this is my favorite show to do. And we've missed it for 2 straight weeks, and it's driving me insane. So here we are on Tuesday. We're doing it anyway. We're going to make it happen. But what we've been doing, if you've been watching the show throughout the season, what we've been talking is redraft game plan of the week. The adds, the drops, the buys and sells, all the moves that you should be making that particular week to get your team better for that week and moving forward the rest of the season. But what we're going to do now is we're going to change it up. We're going to change it up because we're at the point in the season where the waiver wire has dried up and most redraft trade deadlines have come and gone anyway. So just like we did last year after Thanksgiving, we're turning the page to Dynasty. That's right. We're talking all the moves you should be making. Still doing that. But this time it's for your Dynasty team. And it's going to be whether you're contending or rebuilding. We'll have a little bit for everything. And it's going to be the format for the rest of the season. We'll talk 1 buy for a contender, 1 buy for a rebuild, 2 sells, and then we're going to finish things off going a little bit deeper with a player that you should be keeping stashed away on your bench for 2023 and beyond. And if you're not into Dynasty, I still recommend that you stick around because while I'll still be talking about these players through a Dynasty lens, most of it will continue to be relevant for 2022 redraft formats. You're still going to know the players that I'm liking, disliking, whatever, so forth for the rest of the season. We're still going to talk a lot about 2022. And of course, we'll still answer your questions at the end of the show on TikTok and YouTube, which can be Dynasty or redraft, whatever you want. But before we get too far into things like I usually do every week, I need to remind you, get on Underdog Fantasy. They have playoff best ball tournaments drafting as we speak. So if you think you know who's going to be in the playoffs and go far into the playoffs, you'll have a major advantage in these drafts. You can also draft weekly teams. It's basically DFS and snake draft form, or you can play their pick'ems where you can take the overs or unders on player props for your favorite players. And when you sign up on Underdog, use promo code YARDSPER, that's all one word, YARDSPER, to get a $100 deposit match. Just go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app. And you can also use that same code, YARDSPER, on BetUS. So if you're into sports betting, get on BetUS. Just sign up, use that promo code YARDSPER, get your free money. I'm going to get a 125% deposit bonus and start betting. Super easy, super fun. Highly recommend. Great platform to bet on. Absolutely. But let's get to it. I don't have a lot of time today. Usually I don't do these shows on Tuesdays, so we're really, really rushing it to squeeze it in. Like I said, I could not skip another week. Let's get into these Dynasty buys. The first one is going to be a buy for a contender. So if you're a contending team, you're making a playoff push, you're making a championship push with your Dynasty team. And hey, even a redraft, if your trade deadline hasn't passed yet, go get Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is the Dynasty buy of the week for a contending team. He's the perfect buy for a contender right now. He really is. He's been productive. He's in a good situation, and he's at an age where any dynasty manager who is not in contention is likely looking to move him before the end of the season anyway. Chubb is top 5 running back in fantasy points per game through 12 weeks. The snap share discrepancy between he and Nick Chubb has become more and more in Chubb's favor in recent weeks. And now the team is getting a massive quarterback upgrade with the return of Deshaun Watson for week 13. While that might mean more pass attempts, I did do a study in the summer. You can go back and see that episode. I don't remember what episode that was, but I also wrote an article about it on yardsperfantasy.com. Check that out. And that concluded that more passing can actually be a positive for running backs. So in short, it makes the entire offense more efficient, and it creates more scoring opportunities and more plays. And Watson's going to open up the entire offense and lift up everyone's fantasy value, Chubb included, especially Chubb. I mean, come on. He's already been one of the most efficient running backs across the board. Like every statistical category that measures efficiency among running backs, Nick Chubb is right near the top. And that's while facing one of the highest stacked front rates in the league, meaning that he's facing a ton of 8-man boxes. Defenses are coming down and they're focusing on Nick Chubb. They're focusing, we got to stop the run. They're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do that with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. So imagine what he can do when the defense has to be more respectful of the passing game. The running lanes are going to open up. Offense is going to score a lot more. They're going to have more plays. They're going to have more red zone opportunities. Nick Chubb could be a league winner. Go get him in redraft. Go get him if you're a dynasty contender. So if you're a dynasty rebuilding team, someone I'm going out and getting on my rebuilding teams is Trey Lance. I mean, we loved Trey Lance coming into the season. Unfortunately, a monsoon in week 1 and a fractured ankle in week 2 just crushed his dynasty value. Crushed it. Crushed my heart at the same time. But now we're 10 weeks removed from the injury. And we're at the point in the season where contenders are looking for that last-minute deal to make a championship run. That's where we swoop in as a rebuilding team and we snag a guy like Trey Lance, who's just sitting on that contender's IR spot, sitting there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, just a name. Nothing. He's done nothing in the NFL. And while Jimmy Garoppolo has played well, he hasn't done anything to make me think that the 49ers are going to just abandon the quarterback that they traded 3 first-round picks to go get. So Lance is going to be the starter in 2023. Now, what did we love about Trey Lance coming into the season? We loved his big arm, and we loved his dynamic ability as a runner. And who are the quarterbacks lighting up fantasy football right now? It's Josh Allen, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Jalen Hurts, and it's Justin Fields. They all have big arms and can kill a defense with their legs. In fact, Justin Fields has basically been what we were hoping to get from Trey Lance. And the difference is Lance is actually going to have weapons to throw to. Rather than leaning on Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Equanimeous St. Brown, and so forth, Lance gets to play with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk. Imagine what he's going to do in 2023. Now is the absolute perfect time to go buy him if you are not a contending team. And even if you are, you may still be able to go get him. I'm trying to buy Trey Lance in all of my dynasty leagues right now. It's the absolute perfect time to go get him. Get him. Make it happen. But if we're buying, we also got to be selling some guys in dynasty as well. So let's look at 2 guys that we are trying to sell in dynasty, or at least willing to sell in dynasty. And while Deebo Samuel may be good for the future prospects of Trey Lance, I'm not so sure that Trey Lance is great for Deebo Samuel. So Deebo Samuel is one of the guys that I am selling right now in Dynasty leagues if I'm not a contender. If I'm not contending right now, I have an offer or an opportunity to go sell Deebo Samuel at high market value, I'm going to do it. I mean, looking ahead to 2023, Samuel is going to have a quarterback who has very little playing time, very little playing experience, even going back to his days in college, and is going to take opportunities out of the offense because he's going to call his own number like 10 times a game. But it's not just Lance, and it's not just 2023. We already are seeing Deebo Samuel struggle to get enough opportunities in this current offense. The offense is a run-first unit that's going to only get worse with Trey Lance. And they've got a ton of other weapons. In the addition of Christian McCaffrey, like we talked about weeks back when they made the deal, it's almost negated the need to lean on Deebo Samuel as a runner. McCaffrey has also taken away some of those short receptions that turn into long catch and runs that normally go to Deebo Samuel. He's still getting those, but McCaffrey is just taking a few of them, and those few, they add up. They add up. And of course, Samuel is going to have his weeks. We know that. We saw it, week 11 and that big touchdown run up the sideline? He's going to have his weeks. Like, don't get me wrong there. But his weekly floor and his weekly ceiling, they've been shifted with the addition of McCaffrey. And I expect that they will continue to trend downward when Lance is reinstalled at quarterback in 2023. Let's do another sell. One more dynasty sell, and that's Damien Pierce. I know. What? What are you talking about? He's a rookie. He's playing great. I know. Damien Pierce has been impressive as a rookie. No debating that. But we see it almost every year. A day 3 rookie running back comes in, they impress in their rookie season, only to get replaced the very next season. In some recent examples, you're saying, oh, well, Pierce has been great. They're not going to replace him. Well, let's just listen. Some recent examples of running backs who have either been good or even great in their rookie seasons, like James Robinson. The Jaguars went out the very next year and they drafted Travis Etienne. Now, obviously, Etienne missed his rookie season, so they went right back to James Robinson in his second year. That kind of worked out. But as soon as Travis Etienne was healthy and he showed that he was healthy, James Robinson got his ass shipped to New York. He got on a jet and went to New York. Also, Michael Carter, speaking of the Jets, Michael Carter had a very nice rookie season. A lot of people were high on him. He was drafted in the 4th round. They went out and they drafted Breece Hall the very next year. And then even Elijah Mitchell in San Francisco. It's a little bit of a different situation, but Elijah Mitchell, they went and they drafted a running back in the 3rd round. Now, I know he didn't supplant Elijah Mitchell, but they went out and used 3rd round draft capital the year after Elijah Mitchell broke out as a rookie. That tells you something. And then they traded for Christian McCaffrey. Hello? Like a week before they were getting Mitchell back anyway. There's no debating that Pierce is good. He is. Damien Pierce is good. There's no debating that. I'm not arguing against that. I like Damien Pierce coming out of Florida. He was underutilized at Florida. But we said that about all of these running backs that I just talked about and others in the past. Those are just a few examples. We could go on for more. Draft capital matters to NFL decision makers. I'm not saying that it should. It shouldn't. It should not. I'm with you. I know you're yelling at your screen right now. I agree with you. But there is that risk that Pierce either gets replaced or at least forced into some type of committee situation as early as his 2nd season. So if you have the chance to sell Damien Pierce at his market value, I would do it. I'm not saying you sell him low. Don't do that. But if you can sell him at a good price, you're going to make a good profit because he didn't I mean, you didn't draft him very highly. You could probably you can definitely get a first round pick for Damien Pierce, probably more. You sure as hell didn't draft him in the first round with your rookie draft. All right, let's wrap up the show with a stash. We'll go a little bit deeper because one of the things that we got to do in Dynasty, we need to make decisions in the offseason and coming, late in the season. That who are these guys that we are going to cut off our roster? Or who are these guys that we're going to scoop up off the waiver wire and stash on our bench? Or who are these guys that are on our roster? They really haven't done much this year, but are they worth keeping around? One of the guys that I believe is worth keeping around is Khalil Shakir. So we are stashing Khalil Shakir. Shakir was a favorite sleeper of mine and a lot of other analysts around the time of the NFL draft. We celebrated when he went to Buffalo, even while knowing that he may have to wait his turn behind Isaiah McKenzie and or Jameson Crowder. And that's exactly what happened. But there's been enough to be optimistic about a greater role in 2023 for Khalil Shakir. He flashed in week 5 when he caught 3 of his 5 targets for 75 yards and a touchdown. And if Shakir makes strides in the offseason, he could leapfrog Isaiah McKenzie for playing time and even eat into Gabriel Davis's share. We loved Shakir's versatility coming out of Boise State, where he lined up outside and in the slot. He handled over 70 rush attempts during his career, and he provided value as a kick returner. It's hard to imagine a better offense or a better quarterback situation for Khalil Shakir if he can force his way into a bigger role in 2023. I think he can. He's definitely worth the stash in the event that he does get more opportunity in 2023. Be that Josh Allen slot guy. That's a guy that we want on our team. So that's all we got for this week. These shows are going to be a little bit shorter than our redraft shows. We only got 5 players to talk about. But if you have questions on TikTok or YouTube, we'll get to those now. Otherwise, we'll do our normal Saturday night show where we focus on redraft and we answer all your questions anyway. So I know not as many people are as interested in Dynasty, so we don't get as many questions. But if you want to shoot some redraft questions, go for it. I'm open to that as well. Absolutely. So we do have one on YouTube asking for redraft. Would you rather have rest of season Mike Evans, Chris Olave, or Deebo Samuel? Oh man, that one's tough. We just talked about Deebo as a sell in Dynasty, but that's Dynasty. It's hard to argue with Deebo, but he's so up and down, right? He'll have, might give you 2 touchdowns one week, and then the next week, he's going to get you 5 points. There's just so many weapons in that offense, and it's a run-first offense, so it's hard to rely on Deebo Samuel week to week. Chris Olave, his quarterback situation is all fucked up, but he gets the targets, he gets air yards, he makes plays. I like Olave. And Mike Evans, it just hasn't been there this year with Tom Brady. I mean, he's still getting a decent target share. It's not great. I think, I think I'd go Deebo here. I feel the best about Deebo in this situation. So I know we talked about him as a dynasty sell, but among these 3 receivers, I think I would go Deebo Samuel rest of season for redraft leagues. So I'll try to answer some of the week 13 questions, but just know that I normally do my rankings for week 13 on Tuesday night. So I have not gotten to those yet. So, but I will do my best. I don't know the matchups. I don't know. I really haven't looked at week 13 very closely yet. We do have a couple of teams on bye week this week. It's the Panthers and the Cardinals, right? Panthers and Cardinals on bye this week. Alvin Kamara, Devin Singletary, Rashad White, Pacheco, pick 2 for this week. Let's assume that Leonard Fournette's going to be out again. So we'll go Rashad White, who was awesome, played 90% of the snaps, had a 21% target share. So that great usage. He's going to have a huge role for as long as Leonard Fournette is out. I think he'll be playable even when Fournette comes back. But White's a must start until Fournette comes back. And I think we'll go Alvin Kamara there. Because I think for Pacheco, I think this week against the Bengals is going to be more of a Jerick McKinnon game. He's had the favor of game script this past week where they had a big lead against a bad team. Of course, they're just going to grind it out on the ground. Against the Bengals, things are going to be different. It's going to be more of a shootout. They're going to need to score a lot of points, more passing, which means more Jerick McKinnon, and a little bit less Isaiah Pacheco. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk. Who do I sit? Sounds like Jamar Chase is going to be back. We got to play him. I think I'm going to sit Ayuk out of those guys. Even though they're all great plays, Cooper, he gets Deshaun Watson back against the Texans. That's going to be that huge revenge game for Deshaun Watson. He's going to want to come out and play great. Keenan Allen with no Mike Evans. I think we got to play him, even though he didn't do much this past week. Jamar Chase, if he's playing, you're playing him. So I guess we're sitting Ayuk there. Should I trade Palmer or Juju for Fournette? So I'm going to assume, I know we talked Dynasty in this show. I'm going to assume all of these questions are going to be redraft questions unless you specify otherwise. So should I trade Josh Palmer or Juju for Leonard Fournette? Yeah, I would trade either of those guys for Fournette. But I don't have super high expectations for Fournette rest of season. I think Rachaad White is going to be the 1A to Leonard Fournette's 1B rest of season whenever Fournette is back healthy. Would you trade Mike Evans and A.J. Dillon for Amon-Ra? Yes, I would do that. Mike Evans might have a couple big weeks with some touchdowns and stuff, but Amon-Ra, I trust him more week to week. A lot more target volume. Waddle, Juju, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Palmer, pick 2. Give me Waddle. And without knowing the matchups off the top of my head yet, because like I said, I haven't done week 13 rankings yet. I think we'll go Donovan Peoples-Jones. I know he is playing the Texans, like we just said about Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson back, revenge game against the Texans. So it would be close between Peoples-Jones and Palmer. Right now, I'm leaning Peoples-Jones. I think he just has a higher ceiling. Kyler Murray or Latavius Murray? Oh, Kyler Murray for Latavius Murray, Jimmy G, and Deontay Foreman. Yeah, I think I'm just going to keep Kyler Murray there. Should I trade Mixon for Mike Evans and Njoku? I have Cook and Harris. Nope, I wouldn't do that. I'd rather have Mixon. Juju, why is Juju a no-go? He's Mahomes number 2 off a recovery week. Shouldn't he see targets? Yeah, I mean, Juju obviously came back to a limited role. He only played like 30, I think it was 38% of the snaps his first game back. I definitely expect that to ramp back up, probably get back to his normal role against the Bengals. So yeah, I expect Juju to get back to what he was doing prior to the injury. I just traded Chubb, Hollywood, and a second for Herbert and Pierce. So this is obviously a dynasty question. Chubb, Hollywood, and a second for Herbert and Pierce. This is a super flex league. If it's super flex, I like getting Justin Herbert there. If not, I don't think you want my opinion. But yeah, like I said, we're really limited on time today, so we're going to wrap it up here. We'll be back Saturday night answering all your redraft start-sit questions heading into Sunday. Same thing Sunday morning. You can find all my rankings, content, everything at yardsperfantasy.com. Download the Yards Per Fantasy app, get everything there. My rankings drop late Tuesday night on yardsperfantasy.com. So check those out when they come out tonight. All right. Thanks, guys.